To what do you attribute this burgeoning popularity in America of what had previously just been a global obsession?
Well, I think that the great thing is Formula One through the Netflix series, this Drive to Survive series, it's engaged America, and the sport's always been great, but I think now it's been a great way of introducing people to the sport, explaining the sport, and getting to know some of the personalities, some of the challenges that go on in the business world as well behind the scenes.
What about the racing? You have had incredible success at Red Bull. You've been doing this there for, I think, 15, 16 years. But I've heard you lament the loss of the V10 and V12 engines. Now that we get into these, tiny little, I think, 1.6-liter hybrids, it seems like the racing has improved.
Yeah, look, the racing's been fantastic. And I have to say, since Formula One was bought by the Liberty Media Group, the regulations that have been introduced to promote better racing have been, they're working. And we're seeing some great racing, some, the best drivers in the world going wheel to wheel at some of the most exciting circuits. And it's a fantastic competition. So it seems to be working.
You won, of course, last year with Max Verstappen, the entire championship, and he's leading this year. Your other pilot, Checo Perez, has won probably the most iconic race in Formula One at Monaco. What do you think about your chances this year?
Well, look, I think we've got a chance. There's been the biggest regulation change this year for 40 years. The team's done a great job in adapting to those regulations, and having achieved that world championship last year with Max, we're determined to defend it. And in Checo, we've got a driver that's growing in confidence. He's just won the Monaco Grand Prix 2 days ago. I think he's still recovering from that. But, we've got these two wonderful drivers that, we're taking on new challenges from Ferrari this year.
Good morning to you, Christian. I wonder how you manage the rivalry within the team between these two great drivers. When you've got one in first position on the drivers drivers' standings, and you've got one in third. I mean, how much of a challenge is that?
It's a nice challenge to have, but ultimately they're team players. They're part of the team. It's not Sergio Perez racing or Max Verstappen racing. It's Red Bull racing, and they work for the team. They have a responsibility. They drive the cars that the 800 or so employees here have designed and produced for them. So they're one link in the chain. They're a very important link, but it's vital that they recognize that the team's ambition is greater than their own.
Let's talk about competition in a different way in the form of M&A in the F1 space. Christian, would you consider an offer from someone like Porsche or Audi?
Well, I think it's fantastic that they're talking about coming into Formula One. It's iconic brands, particularly the Porsche brand. Is particularly iconic. And of course, we're heading into a new chapter as we become power unit manufacturers. So other than Ferrari, we'll be the only team to have engine and chassis under one roof. So, it would be logical to hold conversations with them, after declaring their intent to enter the sport.
Yeah, is there room for other teams, for new teams on the grid? Is there always room, Christian?
Well, I think we've got a 10-team system at the moment, and that works very well. So effectively, you've got 10 franchises involved in the sport, and I think you dilute that by introducing more teams into the sport. So I think until 2026, I can't see any new entrants coming in. It'll be a case of having to take on one of the existing franchises if a new party were to want to come into the sport.
One of the great things that Porsche and Audi have is a ton of money. Right? It's so expensive. You've even said that you're not sure all of the teams right now can compete because of the cost. They're prohibitive. Is that a problem?
Well, it's more the cost cap rather than the actual cost. I mean, the sport is in great health. I mean, we've got some fantastic partners. We've introduced a lot of American partners. So, Oracle have become our title partner this year. We have companies like ExxonMobil, a whole plethora of different companies that are supporting the team. But with a cost cap, it's the amount of money that we're restricted to spending, which is the challenge. But that is creating a more equal playing field for the 10 teams.
What do you think about trying to manage the popularity at the same time as staying true to your heritage, right? There have been a lot of complaints that the track in Miami was not up to snuff in terms of quality, and there's a lot of talk about Monaco actually falling out of the schedule.
I think it's always a matter of finding that balance, and each circuit has different characteristics. And, Monaco is part of the DNA of Formula One. It's been there since the beginning. It's a little bit like Wimbledon is to tennis. And the Miami track, it produced a great race. It's probably not the most challenging of circuits for the drivers, but it's a 22 race championship, and it's a matter of being competitive across all of these different circuits, street circuits, permanent circuits, some of the iconic historic circuits as well. And that's part of the challenge of Formula One.